Hi, my name is Aksik, aka Annika, and welcome to my channel. Today we are carrying on with my series about all my completed pages and whips, and today we are continuing with my small or irregular sized books, and also a couple of books I have just forgotten that would have actually probably fitted into a different category. So let's get moving. I will usually also always give you my opinion about the book and opinion about the paper. So if that is your interest, then stick around. You'll probably hear a fair bit about that. This is the book I forgot when I was doing my square books, and it's the book I really like. It's Bloom by Alli Koch. It's also a gorgeous book. I love the color. I love the kind of a glossy back outline with the kind of a on the matte cover, and then the holographic title. Really beautiful book, and I like the art. She does kind of a floral art, but it's kind of a loose and modern and very relaxed. So I, who doesn't usually love coloring flowers, actually I do enjoy her flowers and doing her pages. And this book is kind of one of those relaxer books for me, or book where I might kind of want to experiment with techniques. Although it has fantastic paper, this is how it takes the pencils. You can see pencils laid down beautifully here. The paper also takes water very well. You can use watercolor here, absolutely no problem. It's one-sided, so you can use any media from watercolor to alcohol markers, anything. This is the page I did last month. I was just testing my kind of watercolors. I had gotten their Holbein granulating watercolors. So, I laid down them in the background, in the flowers, in the leaves, and then did most of I didn't do a huge amount of shading. I put tiny bit of pencil in some area, but not much really. I just did kind of outlining with different gel pens. Did this kind of a circle here with the acrylic marker. It's one of the golden acrylic markers, but it has the thick nib. I might have been, wait a second, this marker, super golden markers, and they have this 3mm nib, and it's really nice for doing kind of like a bigger area like this if you feel like doing one. And I used also Sakura jelly rolls and pretty much everything that I could get my hands on as usual. But yeah, I just love working here with different water materials. And, the pages are kind of varied and interesting. This one, I have ink in the background, a kind of ink that has some metallic glitter in it, or kind of a dust in it. So I have two different colors here. And then the flowers are done with acrylic markers, just kind of a flat color put down. And the stamens inside are done with different acrylic metallic markers. And then they're outlined, and some of the flowers I then covered with glamour dust, kind of a glitter acrylic paint, and I think it came out fun, a bit different. I felt like this that day, more graphic and kind of a not very me, but at the same time quite me, because there's strong vibrant colors. Some pages have actual velvet, like if you touch it, the background is velvet. So I'm kind of curious. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with these ones yet, but I'd say something really vibrant and strong would look cool in this background. And because it's velvet, it's black. It's so black it seems to swallow light. And do I have anything else here? At least one page. Oh yeah, this one is all the background is done with oil pastels, just kind of a applied in different areas, blended together, blended out, and then covered with satin glaze to seal them. And then all the flowers and leaves are basically acrylic brush markers, and they are blended on paper. If you want to see a little bit of that process, then I have a reel on Instagram when I was showing how I'm doing that. So if you want to click on my link, if you want to see that, you need to click on my link and in my description, and well, just take my handle, Instagram handle, from the description, and you can check out that reel there. Do I have anything else in this book? Not yet, but pretty sure I will. Really enjoy that book. Very simple, kind of deceptively simple, but very enjoyable book. Wald und Natur, haven't yet worked huge amount in this book. Tried to do water materials, which was probably a bit of a mistake, because at least for kind of a proper watercolor, the paper got very soft and wouldn't take the pencils afterwards very well. It's all right, I guess, the page, but it's certainly not one of my best. I'd say to be honest, it's one of my worst. So I'm gonna try to redeem myself in this book because the paper is good. I tried it with pencils. I tried pencils here in these little leaves, and the blends come out really fun and vibrant, and pencils layer beautifully. Even the pencils that I don't usually particularly find very easy to work with really work well on this paper. So I might try to do more heavily pencil oriented pages here. The artwork is beautiful. I miss it's very kind of absent of people. I would kind of wish to have more creatures and people in these images. Often it's just house with plants, or birdhouse without a bird. There are some bogs here, there's some birds running on the swimming on the pond here, but a lot of pages that don't seem to have anything that would center the scene. Although this scene is actually very, very nice. I kind of like this one, and the fact that there isn't anybody there actually works for it. So, I'll try to find a page, that really, really is singing to me, and go for it next. This is a Japanese book. Sorry, not Japanese, it's a Korean book. And it's called Sugumi Desert Fox, 4 Seasons. And I do not know the author's name. Sorry to say that. I kind of like how cute the artist's own interpretations are. There's so many ideas how to color things and light effects in this book. It's almost worth to have it because of that, and how the person kind of colors, how they use the texture and kind of composition. And I think they're very, very talented and totally worth, this book is totally worth having. The paper is nice, and it looks like it's textured. It's actually not. It's kind of a printed texture, very, very slight printed texture. And you can do, as usual, on Korean book, a lot of people will tell you, don't use any water. I say you can use a little bit. I will show you, kind of my page here. I did use water and it worked out fine. It's just, you need to kind of keep an eye, how much actual, water you use, and, that you don't go very heavy with shading, apply the color by layers if you use with water. I think the images are fun. The desert fox itself is very, very cute. And those cool light effects is what I really like. I kind of like to investigate them a bit. And in this book, I almost kind of want to, on some pages, I kind of want to repeat what the artist has done. Not exactly what they have done, but the effects they have done. Because I think I could learn quite a lot by just looking here. Oh, that's Alli's page. Hi, Maya. Alli's page. Anyways, it's a beautiful book and beautiful color combination. I've only done here this book, and I based it with, I wasn't trying to go for exactly or a similar vibe, but because I was kind of depicting a Japanese house, the color scheme kind of came out the same, so I ended up okay. If everything looks kind of similar to the other side, I went with the same color scheme for the clothes as well, although it wasn't the plan in the beginning. But I based everything here with Kuretake, Kansai Tambi, Art Deco, set the watercolors, and well, I only based really the wall, the fox. I did most of the fox. There's no pencil. There's only watercolor. Here, it's just not watercolor, and the little cactus thing also, it's only watercolor. Same story here with the little blanket and everything. This is all just watercolor. There's some pencil on those cushions, but here the watercolor was only on the drawers. The rest of it is all done, and all the woodwork is done purely with pencils. And the pencils lay down on this book like a dream. At least I used black edition, Faber-Castell black edition pencils, and they went down on this book so well. It was such a joy to work with them. You didn't even need anything underneath. They just went down so well, and it was so easy. So yeah, highly recommend this book. It's fun, it's beautiful. There's a lot of learn here from those effects. You can repeat them or you can choose to go your own way, but it's a fantastic book. Now, next one, Matchstick Mouse. I don't have many Matchstick Mouse physical books. I have some digital books, which I really like, and occasionally print out a page or two and do them kind of quickly. But I, don't really love working on this paper. I did get this book when I don't think they were available at this stage digitally yet, or I didn't know that you could buy them digitally. Anyway, I bought this winter coloring book because I really like the artwork in this one. And this one is most of it based, well, it is all based with alcohol markers, and then pencils on top. This background here is done with alcohol markers, just scribbled random colors, and then I dropped alcohol on top. Let me find it. This is the stuff that I'm using, isopropyl alcohol. I have this tub, 1 liter tub, that I have some of it decanted into a little bottle that I'm taking it from. So I kind of dropped it with brush in different areas, in different shapes, and I got this interesting kind of a blended together background. And then the image itself was pretty sure it's alcohol markers. Yeah, it's alcohol markers and colored pencils on top. And I think it came out very cute. And I love doing snow. Well, I love doing kind of untraditional snow. I love giving loads of different colors to the snow, because the snow, well, I exaggerate it, but snow actually does reflect all the colors of the atmosphere and surroundings. So I love giving, kind of fun colors into the snow. So here they've gone all ice skating. Is it? Yeah, they're ice skating. And the background is, I think there's acrylic paint underneath, or acrylic marker. And then I made myself from satin glazing, I think, and loose glitter, this kind of a paste that I put on top of the acrylic paint, that I got this cool textured. In real life, it glitters much more. It kind of looks more interesting than it does on the camera. I'm trying to kind of show you. And it looks fun, and it was fun to do, and kind of satisfied my need to experiment and play with sticky stuff. This one is very simple. It's just the black acrylic paint here around, based alcohol markers, pencils on top, and then of course some gel pens and possibly also acrylic metallic markers, but I don't really remember now. And this glow is pretty much done with white Prismacolor pencil. Just to kind of bring it out a bit more. This is also acrylic paint that I mixed up that color myself, pretty sure, because I wanted kind of this pale sage type of a color, which I didn't have, so I just mixed it up from different colors. And once again, alcohol markers and pencils on top. I might have someplace written down what pencils they were, but kind of doubt it. Doesn't really matter. Oh no, actually it's based with, it must be based with water-based markers, because it hasn't gone through here, so I must have given it very quick base with water-based markers, because I know that it was based with something. And then this one is, let me see, this paint is also kind of mixed together. I wanted this dark kind of a forest green that I didn't really have, and something that was close, wasn't opaque enough, so I kind of made it more opaque by adding different colors to it, and I achieved this really dark green, which I love as a color. And this one also, it actually looks that I might have done it from scratch, that I actually colored it without. Yeah, this one as well. It's actually colored from scratch. There's no markers or anything underneath, because water-based markers would go through as well, and there's nothing going through. So it was all done with pencils. And this is also mostly done with pencils. I think the mouse has been, some parts of the mouse have been based with either alcohol marker or water-based marker. Do I have anything else in this book? I kind of think I might not have. I have done, several kind of these frames, I have decided. And this kind of dictates for me. If I get a picture of the color scheme in my head, then I put down the frame color that in my head matches that. But often I put down something super neutral, like this kind of a neutral mid-gray, which I can then boost maybe with some stencils if I feel like it. But I have put, in several places, like I put color into the window, or just, color like this. So I will go back to that book, hopefully, when winter comes. Do I have any pages left here? Because I don't think so. There's dark blue here. I'll just make sure, because I have a feeling that I might have something, but I might not. This is, not sure. It might be gel crayon. Yeah, it's gel crayons applied with, kind of a dry applied with brush. I've created this gradient around it. And, once it dries down, it pretty much becomes not permanent. I'd say you can still mess it up with water, but, you don't smear it with your hand or anything, or it doesn't just, flake off. Yeah, I'd say that might be it. Yeah, there's like several places when I know it's night, I put night sky in. And this is it. Yeah. Here I've tested a pencil. I'm actually pretty sure that this might be, yeah, it's actually printed in the Japan. That actually explains those images that don't seem to have any base. I suspect there might have been something water-based on them, as a base on these. Because you can put water-based, not really heavy or big blending, but you can put some watercolor or water-based stuff here without it going immediately through. So, love that book. Another one that I have from Morgan O'Brien, the physical book, is The Way Home. The book that they had to take off Amazon because it's very clearly, well, we all know what it's based on. Not saying it out loud. I'm pretty sure this one is actually, Great Britain. So the paper in this is, not great. I have here several pages which I have prepped It's satin glazing, SGL, 2 layers it seems. So I will test, what I can do with these, because I really don't love working. This is a satin glazing base, and there's nothing else except water-based markers here. Well, I'm lying. There's some Posca clearly here that I've applied, but everything else is just water-based marker, not even diluted or blended with water brush, but blended with another lighter water brush based marker, because this page has now satin glazing on it. So you can do it directly on the paper and you don't need anything else, and you can get very decent kind of gradients like this. And you can even, I've added some pencil here, tiny bit, could kind of give those pink tiny bits, kind of glints of the leaves to give them a bit more interest, so everything wouldn't be so kind of a green. I see green. And this one is done the same way. It's just water-based markers on satin glazing, and there's basically no pencils there. There might be minuscule bit, but I can't really see any, to be honest. And do I have, I definitely have something else here. Not too many pages, but I have at least one more page here. Oh no, I have more than one. This one, exactly the same story. No, that one is actually now done with alcohol markers. And then I think in trees, there's some pencil, but there's not too much pencil in the kind of creatures and Baby Yoda. And you can see here, that's the blending. So the any shading on Baby Yoda's face is pencils. Okay. It didn't even look very uneven. And this one was done once again on the base of satin glazing, and it's all like 90% just water-based markers, and they kind of were blended with each other. And there's of course some kind of a shiny stuff here as well. That's acrylic marker, metallic, but all those light effects and kind of a darkness and all the background, there's, I'd say, almost no pencil there. All of it was done with just pelted pens, and that's what you can do on satin glazing base. It will not look as clean as it would with just pencil or alcohol marker, but you can get kind of a very quick page with interesting effects. And there's some backgrounds that I've just randomly applied. I think only one here. So there's loads to do in that book. Here we have Mini-Inklings. Sorry about my nose, I can't do much about it. Springtime and allergies and rhinitis, and I'm barely breathing. So this book, I really like art by Tanya. I've always been a fan of her stuff. This is actually Japan book, so Amazon Japan printed book. So it does accept a little bit of watercolor. And I like her art. I think it's different and quirky. Although, she also has often that big head, huge eyes. But they don't look overly cutesy. They still look interesting, and they still look different. They still all have the personalities. And this one is, I don't even remember, but pretty sure it's supposed to be like earth elemental. So I made her kind of very dark and almost a bit like, earthy looking, as if she's covered in, bits of soil, kind of like dust of soil. And I don't remember what the base was. Let me see. Was it what? No, it's actually, there's definitely been here alcohol markers, but there's also some darkness here that I'm pretty sure I did with acrylic marker or something. but the rest of her was based with alcohol marker, and then I went and kind of gave her this really dark finish. And then, of course, you know, sparkly stuff. That's mostly markers and gel pens. And then there's, yeah, they're just fun and interesting, those portraits, you know. I would happily do one of those portraits with you, you know, on the camera, if you wanted me to do, because I haven't done one of her portraits for a long while. This one, I did use watercolor base, and I kind of might have overdone it, or I kind of messed up a bit here. I don't know what happened with the paper, but I couldn't get it even, so she kind of looks like her face is dirty there. But she looks fun. I kind of like how the bird came out a lot, the cardinal. And her face also, you know, the shading, I like kind of this kind of a more interesting, deep shading sometimes. Not always, but I do like fun and interesting. And this one is kind of very quick and simple one. I do not remember what I based with. Well, there's some shading already. You can see that I've done some base shading with alcohol markers for her face and for her hair and for the kind of a carrot body, and even the bunny has a little bit on her. But the background is definitely then, oh, it was oil pastel. I tried oil pastel here and it wasn't really working very well, or possibly I was using wrong oil pastel for the paper. But I do like how the faces come out for her. So very much enjoy working her stuff. Okay, I know that this one was, I do want to have the plastic on it because I don't think I sealed it. So I would like to kind of protect so it wouldn't all come off. Yeah, so many fun and interesting faces. And I would be super happy to do one of them with you. And it's good size as well, so the video wouldn't be, you know, crazy long. Because for a big face, you know, they take long time, and the videos can get crazy long and very hard to edit. So that's Boules by Anni Vahlquist, and her art is so interesting and fun and challenging and very recognizable. But the books, of course, are on the worst possible Amazon paper. I have 2 other books, and both of them, like, the worst, you know, because Amazon also has different kind of almost grady grades of paper, and hers are on the worst. You know, even like alcohol markers, even basing is difficult because it just bleeds so much, and, you know, her outlines are thick, and even then it's a problem. Here I just put, I think it was Inktense. Just, you know, put Inktense down, dissolve it, I think with alcohol marker blender, and then added a little bit of shading, and that was it. It was very simple page. This one is a whip. I put down acrylic, diluted acrylic matte paint, acrylic washes, and different colors, and I'll see, you know, what will come out of it, and if anything will come out. Hopefully I'll get there eventually. Oh, the parts of it, the trees were done with alcohol marker. I'm just, you know, testing different things. This one is also based with acrylic wash. Same story, I need to go in with pencils. I've done her face, I think, with pencils, but that's pretty much it. And this page is all many different media. There's acrylic marker here, there's acrylic base, acrylic wash base on some things, there's a alcohol marker base on some things, there's water-based marker on some things. So it's a bit of a mishmash, and the colors I didn't choose well, so I'm not really super happy with that page. But hey, you know, it's another day, another page. And I don't think I have much more. Oh, I have this one here also. sitting on the stairs. This one was alcohol markers. No, actually, at least part of it was water-based markers. And then pencils on top, and that's acrylic paint, flat acrylic paint in the background. And this one is, oh, that's just the base. I kind of put down the idea here and kind of light reflections to eventually work on this Northern Lights page. And that's it. That's all I have in this book. Then there's another book I have here that is also by her, called Coloring Book 2 by Anni Vahlquist. And I have even less here. This one is printed in USA. The paper is the worst. It's so thin. Here I tried how I can manage watercolor in Amazon printed book. It's actually on the video on my channel, and you can see that you can. I wasn't really super shy with water either, and I was able to put watercolor background down, and as you can see, the paper isn't super warped or anything. Well, it is somewhat warped, but you can definitely work on it. And, you know, with a little bit of deepening the corners, maybe a little bit of smoothing or splatters, this would be a totally acceptable background. Do I have anything done here? Yeah, I have this page done, which is pretty sure alcohol markers. Let me check. Yes, alcohol markers. And I think this was actually ink. Acrylic ink, because it's shiny. And I didn't really find very easy to work with it. Yeah, it was ink, the background. And I wish I had used something else because it didn't really sit very well. So that's it for that one. And now we get into the tough books. Well, let's look at the easy book first. This is 100 Hogs by Chris Riddell. It's not actually a coloring book. It's one of his kind of a humorous little sketchbooks. I know that this book also has hardcover version with better paper, which I dearly wish I had, because that paper is god-awful. But the art is just so fun, and really enjoy coloring in it, but the paper is terrible. So I, kind of put a little bit color down on some pages. There's no huge working or anything, just a little bit of shading and color throw down. Batman and Superman hugging. I know I had something somewhere else as a... I've lost. Can't find it. Or maybe I didn't have then. I haven't dared so far to use watercolor here, but I kind of almost, want to try. If I use really lightly watercolor base here, would it kind of help me to kind of make it more vibrant? Because that paper just eats the pencil. Those are Prismacolors. It should be vibrant, but it's really not. It kind of eats the colors. But I love the art in that one, and I would like to work them more. Okay, now we get to the heavy stuff. This is Any Day, Soft Living coloring book by Morgan O'Brien. And this is the book I am aiming eventually. I don't know when. I don't have plans. I'm not that organized, but I would like to finish that one day. So I am gradually, slowly working in here. And I have finished now more than a half, which for me and my kind of a personality and the way I color, the way I get bored of stuff, is absolutely unbelievable. I mostly work here with, well, it's the regular UK paper. I wish it was Japanese paper, but I didn't get it in Japanese version. I couldn't at the time. So it's Amazon France, but there's not much difference, to be honest, between that and Amazon UK. Pretty rubbish papers, both. And so I have usually either watercolor or, so not watercolor, either water-based marker or alcohol marker base here, and then pencils on top. So this is, and usually then there's background here as well, because I like to make some sort of a background. I find that it kind of brings out the central round image more. Otherwise, there's too much kind of white space around that circle. If it was a square book, it probably wouldn't bother me as much, that circle thing, but that circle in the middle of that rectangular surface, a kind of a shape, just has too much white around it. So yeah, to me anyway, that's me. So this one, pretty much alcohol markers and pencils. Next one, this is, once again, I made acrylic marker base and then made my own glitter paste here from loose glitter, and it was really fun to apply. And also alcohol markers, pretty sure. Yeah, alcohol markers and pencils. Summary page. This one is base is pan pastels, and there's pencils on top. Don't remember which ones. The background paint is chalk paint. I bought a big tub of that color in Lidl, and now I'm using it up bravely and fearlessly. And this is also, alcohol markers, pencils on top, and there's 3 layers at least here at the back. There's acrylic marker, then there's glittery paint, and then there's stencil with another color of acrylic paint on top of it. And it kind of gives this effect, which to me looks cool. This is just alcohol markers and pencils and plain acrylic paint. Or, yeah, it's a paint. Acrylic paint in the background. Pretty sure that was water-based markers. And, of course, pencils. I'm bringing it closer so you can see better. This is now one of the pages that I forgot to put a protective. You can see how badly the water-based markers bled. So I had to do a lot of saving here, because it doesn't look as bad, as it does from the back. But what happened here that I didn't have I had forgotten to put a protective page here. So this image was all absolutely ruined. It was, went totally through. So my only option, I took out the whole image is done with acrylic wash. There's maybe a little bit pencil here on this jacket, and maybe a little bit here, but the whole image was basically painted with gouache, because I had to cover up all the mistakes, or all the bleeding from the other page. That was my only option. This one also, there's some acrylic wash here as well, it says. So obviously I've used acrylic wash on some pages as well, meaning I based the image with diluted acrylic paint and then pencils on top. This one is definitely a mix of water-based markers and alcohol markers, the base, and then pencils on top. I love how the couch came out here. I think it looks pretty good, and actually looks like a bit like a textile. Like how this one came out, very soothing colors, very calm, but at the same time there's this kind of a really bright spots that prevent it becoming too dull. So that's alcohol markers and pencils on top. This is also alcohol markers, pastel alcohol markers. I remember that what alcohol markers I used. It's the Artex pastel alcohol markers set, and that's what I used here for basing the whole image, except a couple of bits like the work kind of surface here and maybe dress. This is just, this is one of the images that I don't like, and I'm going to have to force myself to color that. I don't know why, I just don't care about this image. Same story with that one, not one of my favorites, so I'm still kind of getting myself together to color it. Making soup. Once again, the same Artex pastel alcohol marker set, which is very nice colors, and pencils on top. Alcohol markers, pencils on top, and acrylic paint in the background. This is a mix of alcohol markers and water-based markers, plus some of the background was done just purely with pencils. Actually, the background was done purely pencils. There's no markers here in the background at all. The bench was based. Actually, I'm not even sure if the bench was based with alcohol markers, but you know, that blanket definitely was, and her dress and the pillow. And then there's there's acrylic paint in the background, and then I applied metallic gelatos through the stencil, and you get this pretty cool background. This is just the base, flat base. This is what my base usually looks like. Well, not exactly that's the same, because they are different. I can't abide doing even the same hair all the time, so I constantly change her hair color and even her, you know, kind of fur, because otherwise I get sick of doing the same thing all the time. This is some acrylic markers. Oh no, there's water-based markers and alcohol markers mix and color blend pencils. This one actually says here what it is. And this one is also alcohol markers and pencils. It's very simple page. And then there's acrylic paint in the background. And there's some random glitter just applied, which was essentially, I think it was like body glitter type of a thing, slightly sticky. So I was experimenting. And was it for eyes or whatever? Anyway, I was experimenting if it would stick to acrylic paint like this, and I'm not sure how long it stays, but it sticks somewhat. And then there's some backgrounds down here. And I've done this one, the beach scene, which is alcohol markers, deli pencils, and some Morandi pens and acrylic paint here in the background, which I made deliberately kind of sand colored. Do I have any? Oh, I have, okay, I have more pages. There's some backgrounds that I put randomly in here, or, you know, the plants are green. The knitting page, also stencil background, stencil with metallic gelatos on top of acrylic base. And herself is done with alcohol markers and pencils, Artex, Brutfuner square pencils I've used here for her. And I think that's it. That's all of her. And the last book I have is one of my favorites also, and there's also a lot of pages. I don't know if to bring you a tiny bit closer. Let me see. Maybe that's a bit better, so you can see a bit more easily. It's called Boules de Poule by Diane Dufault. It's a small, I'd say 6 by 6-ish inches. Kind of a really compact, easy win pages with lovely humorous art. The paper is pretty decent, and I have a lot of paper, kind of a pages either done here or halfway done here. Like this is a whip. I use acrylic washes here a lot, diluted acrylic paint as a base, but not always. but I do use it a lot. This one is like all based with acrylic washes and finished quickly with pencils. This one is still a whip. Color variations are down, but I need to put more kind of a shading and shadows down. Like she doesn't have anything, she's flat. This is a whip. There's no shading there, just color variations. This is a finished page that also had acrylic markers and acrylic wash and then pencils on top. These pages both are finished. Let me pull that off for a second. And both of them have, you know, once again, fairly heavily utilized the acrylic wash base and then pencils on top. So they're pretty simplistic. This one is just the base here. I haven't gotten anywhere with that one yet, but I do have, you know, as you can see, some colors down. And once, you know, I decide to go for this page, it'll go pretty fast now. I really like, this is one of my favorite pages. I really like how it comes out, mainly because I really like that color palette. And the way I've kind of just use pretty much for those cups, I pretty much colored everything over the same color and then used white pencil to kind of make them white cups and come out from the background, and kind of a bit darker pencil. There's no other color in here, and I think it's kind of a cool effect. And yeah, I like the color scheme a lot. I like this kind of very muted, very earthy color scheme. This one is obviously a whip. There's some color in this one is a whip. You know, I've been tossing on color on these pages a lot, kind of randomly. This one is a whip. This one is finished. Once again, acrylic wash and pencils on top, and a lot of gel pens of different brands. And here I used a brush, kind of a brush ink pen, kind of a reed brush pen type of a thing, but it had this glittery ink, and I did not realize it would go through like this. So this image is kind of ruined for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to just paint it black, because I can't really see myself going, you know, kind of trying to save it. But I think there might be duplicate of this page at the back. I'm not sure. This, I really like how this came out. The sky came out kind of interesting and different and cool. And it's once again all pencils on acrylic wash. So diluted acrylic paint. Really like that page. I also like this page. There's parts of it are like the sky is acrylic wash, and I think some of it is based with watercolors. These are acrylic markers, like brush markers, just two colors with gel pen, kind of a detailing. There's colored pencils, you know, there's many different things here combined. There's some acrylic wash here. There's, once again, acrylic wash and pencils on top. Really like the color scheme here as well. This kind of a soft, misty, and then very warm, contrasting dog. This side is finished and this side is not, and they do not look any different. This side did not obviously come out great, but I need to, yeah, obviously, eventually, hopefully I will finish this one, although it's not calling to me at the moment. There's some, you know, stuff put into the sky here. It's mostly acrylic paint here, to be honest. A lot of it is acrylic paint. Acrylic marker in the background. Some watercolor applied here. A couple of mice, but not all of them. You know, part of the deer colored, so part not. This is Neocolors, and I don't think I put much pencil in that. I think there was a little bit of pencil there, but very, very minimal. And then there's some chunky glitter here. Obviously, might have even been glitter, the stickles. And of course, then different kind of sizes of white. These ones were done actually with Neocolor 2 crayons, those big blobs, because some of the paint had gone through here. So I actually was trying to disguise the kind of a yellow and greenish spots with the white Neocolor crayon, and it kind of worked. This is also acrylic base, some pencils on top, and loads of stickles. Can you see how much stickles there is? This one sparkles, and I like kind of how the highlights work. This one, that scarf, I don't know what I used, but it went through utterly here, which really annoys me because I didn't plan to put acrylic paint there, but now I don't even know if acrylic paint will stay things there, so we'll see what I can do with that. There's this one, which I'm not particularly happy with, but it's okay. It's shiny. It's a winter scene. Acrylic base on the dog, some watercolor here in this image, some acrylic frame on this one. This is also Neocolors and some watercolor, and then I think there might be very, very little pencil, like literally in some corners, but it's mostly just watercolor and Neocolor, and then some glittery stuff in the snow. This book has a lot. I'm sorry, this will take a while. Okay, there's just acrylic marker put there. This one is quite recent. That Sunday in bed. I have based that with watercolor. It's kind of this Chinese style watercolor by Marie's that I got from Temu, and then I put pencils on top and gel pens. And okay, this is around kind of a December, right? In winter time. This is acrylic paint. The whole background is done with acrylic paints and acrylic washes, all that effect here. There's kind of this big wreath, all those dotting. And then there was actually this wreath there, which I then drew again on top of it, over it with gel pens. But I had a bit of a trouble because I didn't really have dark enough tones back in the time. Now I do, but then I didn't. So these don't really kind of work really well. But it's fine. Seen worse. The deer came out all right. And the background isn't super bad, but I would have preferred that those branches would work better. Then this is a whip, obviously. This one is done with watercolors and some Neocolor white. And then I scribbled the pencil all over it. Like first I did texture with watercolors, and then I took a couple of different colors of kind of browns and greens, and sideways kind of scribbled it like this here to give it even more texture, so it would look more interesting and hazy. And this is done with luminance, the bird, the base, kind of slight base with watercolor, and then luminance pencils. This is watercolors with minimal pencil work. Not super happy with that one. This is pure pencil work, which I did, and then I kind of discovered that actually I don't really like working in this book just with pencils. Well, it probably depends on the pencil, but they don't tend to go down very vibrant. This is done with water-based markers and acrylic markers and some pencils. And then the background is metallic acrylic paint. Some base here. This is done with gel crayons, the background. Blended different colors together. And then some gold splatter on top afterwards, after I had finished. All that stuff is done with acrylic markers, and I think some gel pens as well, but mostly acrylic markers, all the plants in the background. And the dog is mostly finished with acrylic markers as well. And I think there's a tiny bit of pencil in some areas. These ones also watercolor, and pencils and a lot of different acrylic pens and markers. Is there anything on the other side? No, there isn't. And I'm going to stick it back on because this book is, kind of feeling tired. The more you worked in some book, the more banged up they tend to eventually get. This is very cute. This is watercolors and pencils on top. And I like the color variations here. And the leaves came out all right. So I'm pretty happy with this page. Do I have anything on the other side? No, I don't. Okay, I should be getting near the end now. No, not yet. Okay, there's some basing happening here. In both images, I have put some color down. Some color down here. This is, once again, see what happens sometimes, especially with cheap pencils. This did not look initially as streaky and kind of a worn and faded like it does now. It was very vibrant. And somehow the pencils have just lost the color, and it seems like some of the pencil is just gone. It was done, this image, like mainly with pencils. I think some of it had the water-based marker base, but most of the work here was with pencils, and they just, it seems like they fell off the paper. I don't know what happened. Like, it did not look like this, and kind of disappointing. I should have sprayed some of the images. I feel like this book, I should kind of go outside someday and just spray most of the pages that are done. This one is doing better because that one has mostly watercolor base and there's some pencils on top, so there's still vibrancy there. I'm going to stick that in between so it protects them a little bit, because it'll just get worse if they rub each other. This one I did last summer. There's watercolor here and pencil on top. I really like how this one came out, nice and vibrant and happy. And this one also has watercolor base and pencils on top. Also one of the favorite pages here. Came out really nice. Oh my, this will be never ending. Okay, this is just the base. I haven't gotten anywhere with that yet, but I have the idea down. This, I just tested some, from what I remember, watercolor pencils to kind of do the base and the dog, just to see how they worked, and they work all right, but it needs more pencils on top. This is just the base with acrylic paints. This is, I think, watercolor and pencils on top. This is just some sort of a watercolor pencil, I think, here in the background. This is based with water-based markers and some pencils on top. And those pages both have satin glazing finish, so you can see the texture kind of. You don't get the same smoothness as you do with the regular page, but they're still fun. And this is the same. It's heavily leaning on the water-based markers and very little pencil work there. And you can definitely see the texture of the satin glazing liquid through the water-based markers. And that effect actually gets worse, the longer the work is there. This is also satin glazing base and water-based markers on top, and you can see in the texture, It's not a bad page, but definitely one of my favorites. This one also has satin glazing page. But I'm pretty okay how it's going so far, but it's definitely not one of my favorite bases to work on this book. And there's also, this one has now satin glazing base, and I have put some water-based marker down, just kind of like first layers, and then I usually add to get nice saturation, because you get this kind of a weird texture just with the first layer. So I don't know if I'm going to kind of carry on with those 2 pages. I'm not very happy with them. Some base with acrylic paint here. I've kind of, at first I started working here with the satin glaze base, and I wasn't really happy with the pages I did. So I switched over mostly to acrylic base and watercolor, and now I like it better, even if the watercolor often goes through. Okay. And that's it. That's that book done. Finally, I hear you saying. So thank you very much for spending all this time with me, sorry, not for me. I hope you saw something you were interested in or liked. If you want flip-throughs of any of the books I've shown, let me know. I will happily do that for you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely day or morning or afternoon or evening, whatever the time is in your corner of your world. I hope you're going to get some lovely creative time at some stage. And bye-bye.